Hey, good morning, everyone. Tim here at mine and Carolyn's house. Actually, I'm sitting on the deck this morning. Um, Normally, where I sit on the side porch, got a little bird's nest. It's kind of an odd-looking bird's nest. It looks like a chicken, but anyhow, that was Carolyn's things about chickens and stuff. We got a little bird's nest there, and Mama's feeding her baby, so I thought I wouldn't disturb her, and I'd sit out here this morning. So again, I want to welcome y'all back and thank you again for all the response that we got from our videos so far. I was actually wanting to talk more about being taken advantage or taking advantage. I talked to you about that. Uh, I, as a man in this relationship, could have taken advantage of Carolyn because of her love and her passion and attraction to me, but I didn't. Not that it wasn't hard, and then not that it didn't get close a few times, but thank the Lord I didn't. And I want to kind of explain to you too what the benefit of that came out for us as well. Uh, I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of days ago. Actually, him and I went to supper, and we were talking about these issues that we've been discussing on our tapes and everything. And he actually made the statement. He said, "I don't believe people can change." But I want to tell you that's not true. People can change because remember I talked about we live in the now, or we live in the world now, and that's where we can make the changes and bring those things around the way they're supposed to be. Because when we get to the after, then we don't have any redos or uh, I have a second chance or whatever. So we want to be sure that we get it right here. So I want to talk to you again more about taking advantage. As we've been thrown into this world, and as we, first came in this world as a child, we know that the enemy's always been trying to take advantage of us and destroy our lives because we came out of Christ and we look so much like Christ that the enemy, and I'm talking about the devil, some people call it good and some call it evil, or not good, but some call it evil. But there is good in the world and there's evil in the world, and where the evil comes through people, that is the host that hosts evil, and that's the only way it can get here. And then there's people in the world that bring forth good, and that's the host that brings forth the things that we need to know in this world. So I want to talk to you and continue to talk to you about those subjects and everything. Uh, the world is always trying to take advantage of you. And I actually want to read a scripture to you this morning as well. And it comes from John 10:10. It says, "A thief," and we know the thief is the enemy of our lives, um, only has one thing in mind. He wants to steal, slaughter, and destroy. But I have come to give you everything abundance, more than you expect, life in its fullness until you overflow. And that's where we want to be. We know that the enemy comes to steal. Sometimes people get that backward. They say he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But he comes to steal. He wants to steal our innocence. He wants to steal everything we have. Because remember when Adam came here on this earth and he disobeyed God, everything got turned upside down. So everything is really backwards. It works backwards forward. And so that's what happens when we're in the physical realm, and that's what happens to the way most of the time we live our life, and most of the time the attractions that one has for another is the physical first. And that's understandable, because we all have our sexualities, and and that's what happens. But I want to go back and talk about intimacy, how really intimacy is supposed to be. Now, according to our story, we were uh, going with each other and had been promised to each other and making plans and so forth and so on. So, like I said again, that was a tough situation on me being a young man, and I'm sure it was on Carolyn too, being a young woman and having these passions and drives and feelings inside, and didn't know really how to express those except maybe in the physical touch and stuff like that. And so again, there's times in people's lives that they've been taken advantage of. They've been taken advantage of by themselves. They allow themselves to be taken advantage of. And I'm sure there's some that have experienced things in life, maybe uh, molested or, rapes, things like that. I know those are tough words and hard words to get, or just verbal abuse, taking advantage of, you wanting love and you wanting attention, and then someone comes along and says, I love you, and they don't really love you. They just want what they can get from you physically. So we have to be aware of that. Now, understand when we have traumatic moments or drama moments in our lives, sometimes we feel like, okay, we've grown out of those things. But most time those things will continue to follow you through your life. And they will always have an audience with your mind, and they'll always be brought back up, because the enemy, again, talking about the devil, he wants to keep you down. He don't want you to have the abundant life that I read to you in John 10:10. So again, when I say these things to you and talk to you about these things, one thing you will never get from Carolyn and I, you will never get condemnation, and you will never get judgmental, judging for what you've done, and the things that these maybe some awful things that's happened to your life, and maybe just they're just not good, So we will never condemn you or judge you or whatever, because our job here is to bring you back to that true love, and so you can have that abundant life that we talked about. Like I said, when all this happened, the world was turned completely upside down. That's why we have thorns, and why we have poison ivy and sumac and all that stuff, and there's animals and snakes and all that it's always trying to harm you, and the biggest culprit sometimes you got to worry about is that people. And see, people are controlled by evil spirits. They're controlled by sometimes just not knowing what to do and how to act, because they're only reacting to what they've learned, or when that traumatic thing happened to their life, or they were taking advantage of. And so we want to get past that. We want to talk about how we can have the intimacy that God intended us to have for people that we love, intimacy with Him. So we know that, again, the physical realm is so powerful. It's probably the two most powerful things that people deal with is living, being alive in life, and then also the sexual drives that they have. So that that part has that sexual side of it, or the physical side of it, has a part in life, but it's to be enjoyed and to be cherished another way besides just being the total fulfillment of a person's life. So again, I want to talk about being intimate, and so there's more things involved in being intimate than just the physical side. See, and I thank the Lord that I decided not to go that way, even though it was a pressured time and I didn't know too much about anything, on some of those levels. And so that was a real pressure for me. And again, Carolyn had so much passion and so much love. It wasn't her fault. I mean, that was just a thing that's in everybody. And so hers being a freshness and all that, and not experiencing a lot of things in life. Again, her home life wasn't as well as she would like it to have been, and so we were trying to improve on that and trying to bring some closure in those areas too, and bring it back to the way it's supposed to be. Excuse me, there my Bible pages were blowing around, but remember what I said. There's people have gone through all kinds of things, and some people don't know. I mean, they didn't have a happy home. Some of them come from dysfunctional home. I guess we all come from dysfunctional home, but dysfunctional to the point that maybe they had divorces in the home. Maybe they were born out of wedlock, or any of those things. And those things are things that definitely tries to ruin our lives and push us down. It tries to steal our innocency. It tries to steal our fullness of life, And then when it does, it comes to kill us, and that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants us to destroy us, and he wants to take us out. But I'm here to tell you that that don't have to happen. You know, you may go through these points of life and experience things that were not fun, that were not good, or whatever. And I think about what someone asked me, said, "How did you know all this, Tim?" Well, I didn't, but by the grace of God, I lived through it, and I learned, you know, how these things are supposed to work. You know, and I was praying this morning, and I was praying about our mandate, mine and Carolyn's mandate, about us telling this story, about it telling our love story. And actually, what came to me, the Lord said, "You are the example couple." And I said, "We're far from the example," but He said, "No, you guys had meager beginnings. You lived through it. You learned through it, and you gained what I want you to have, and that's why I want you to, and that's what I want you. And your job is to explain to people that love that they can have, and that fulfillment of life." So that's totally what mine and Carolyn's life is about. Again, did we know everything from the start? No way, man. We didn't. We didn't know anything. We just knew that we were in love and we wanted to be together, but we wanted it to be the right way. You know, like I said, it's good to be able to see life as it goes along. And sometimes people see life and they say, "Well, that's the way that I got to have life," and it's not. You can observe things and see things, and you can stay away from things that would cause you to have an unhappy life or an unhappy marriage or relationship, and it's all to keep us from knowing God and the true love that He had for us, that brought us here in this world. And it wants to defeat us while we're here now, because then when we go into the afterwardness, or if I'm going to say afterlife, and after the earthly life, we go into our eternal life. We're going to end up in one of two places. We're going to end up in hell, or we're going to end up in heaven. Some people say, I don't believe in hell or heaven." Well, I'm sorry. there is a hell and there is a heaven, because it says in the Word, and I go back to the Bible says hell was made for the devil and his angels, not for mankind. God made heaven for mankind because you're part of God. You're part of God's love. So I just kind of want to talk to you a little bit about that, and so to let you know, even though you've gone through those things, and I've said it time and time before, is that those things can change. We're talking about putting the cart before the horse. Well, we need to get him around to the front of the cart where it can pull it through life and enjoy life and go on and have the life that God wants us to have. So you'll have to excuse my hands sometime, because I have a tendency to talk with my hands as well. But I want to get this across to you, and I want to say something to you, and someone may have not said this to you in a long time. Tim and Carolyn love you. I love you. Carolyn loves you. And most of all, God loves you, and He wants the very best for you. I and Carolyn want the very best for you. You know, even though Carolyn has gone to heaven, and her assignment in heaven, and my assignment here on earth, you know, we're still one in our assignment. And I will talk more about the trueness of becoming one with each other as we go along, as my story progresses along. You know, as people say sometimes, "Tim, you go down the rabbit trails," but I'll always remember I get my rabbit, okay? So just bear with me when we talk about these things, because I wanted to encourage you. And I definitely want to say that to you this morning, that you are loved. We love you. It don't matter, again, you say, you don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, you don't know what kind of person I am, you don't know I don't have these feelings, I don't have the things that you're talking about. That's okay. Again, we're going to change those things. We're going to get you to a point that you're going to be totally and completely falling in love. First of all, you got to love yourself. Even though you made mistakes in life, you got to understand all those things are in the past. All those things are behind you. You can't change those things. So you get rid of those things. You allow those things to fall off of your life, and then you have a different perspective of yourself and where you're going and how you will achieve it. And I tell you, I'm always excited about numbers. You know, I talk numbers, and I talk about Carol and I being a six. We weren't looking for tens. We were six, and how six is a perfect number. Also, too, you know, our earthly marriage here has been 49 years, and so I was interested in the number 49, and so I looked it up and got some insight on it, and I think this will pretty well feel of what I'm trying to say to you and let you understand it, what I'm talking about. And I've got it. I wrote it down this morning before I came out. It says the number 49 is about focus and an idealistic situation for humanity. It resolves on focus, being realistic, and generally with concern and directed towards solution for humanity. So that's what we're talking about. And so I thank the Lord for my 49 years of earthly marriage to Carolyn, and I'm looking forward even more to the eternal marriage that I have with her, and we'll be able to be back with her. You know, I talked about how when we were dating and everything, then I would have to go, and I said, I've got to go now, but I'll see you soon. It's the same way when Carolyn went on to heaven. She said, I've got to go now, but I'll see you soon. And I will see my Carolyn soon, because she's my baby, and I'll see her. You know, I don't think I've gone a day without crying, but my cry and my tears are not tears of sorrow. My tears of feeling poor, feeling for myself. My tears are of gratitude and praise, and I praise God that He gave me Carolyn to be in my life, and is still in my life. Is still one inside, and I thank the Lord for that. So anyhow, I had to say that to you this morning. I know we getting back to our story where we talked about that, and I got a couple of pictures I want to show you. And again, the things that happen in mine and Carolyn's life is, I just see it. I see how God was preparing us to be the example couple for you to learn from. And again, it was not something knowing right away, but it took those 49 years to gather all the information and to know that that's the way it has to be. And I remember sometime back, when I say sometime back, when Carol and I were first dating and so forth, I told I was with my mom shopping with my mom, and I said, Mom, I want to buy Carolyn something. And she said, well, what do you want to buy her? I said, I feel like I want to buy her some dresses. She said, well, do you know what she likes? I said, no, but I know what I like, and what I like to see on her. So she said, okay, well, I bought Carolyn 3 dresses, and as I began to know more about her family, that it came back to me that when Alex knew Corey, or was dating Corey, or was going to marry Corey, which is Carolyn's mom, Alex is, I'll get it right in a minute, is Carolyn's dad, and Corey was her mom. He'd actually bought her 3 dresses too. So I thought that was some real confirmation to me, and I see those things in life and how those things happen to me, and so I relate them to that it's developing all that we have in our stories. And also too, I remember I told you that when Carolyn was a little girl, her mom raised the little girls, and then the stepdad came in the scene. But I'm going to show you a picture. They'll probably get on me about this, the other girls, but I want to show you a picture. I don't know if you can see that or not. But see, those were grown girls, and Carolyn was a little bitty girl there standing in front of her mom. And Joyce, Liz, and Dorothy, and then Carolyn, then Corey. This was in 1956. And so her mom did a great job. Now, when Carolyn was home and being a teenager, all the other sisters had already left. And then I remember I told you that was the time that her stepdad was there, and then he eventually left too. But I want to show you a couple more pictures of Carolyn and I. This was one of the dresses that I bought Carolyn, And she wrote in the back card, to the sweetest guy ever, stay your same sweet self and always have my love. Just me, Carolyn. That was one of the dresses that I gave her. And this is another picture of her standing in front of that red car I was telling you about. And that was my car, 67 Ford Fairlane. And that's a picture of one of the dresses I gave her. And then also too, this was another picture. You can't see it very well. It's a black and white picture of Carol and I together. Those are the 3 dresses I bought her. And like I said, when the dad left, when the stepdad left, well, he took the car with him, and so they had no transportation. And so my mom and dad said, well, this is not going to work. So they gave Carolyn this car, or actually her mom and Carolyn this car, and this is a picture of Carolyn going to school. So we've always been involved in giving back to the people that we love. You know, I've always given Carolyn everything that she wanted. And she was a simple person in the sense that it didn't take much, but I was willing to give everything I could, you know, to make her life fun and make her life fulfilled. And so getting back to the deal about intimacy, this is a very important subject. And a lot of people don't know only the word intimate is about the sexual or the physical side of it. And again, I thank the Lord that I stayed away from that. When I say stayed away from that, I did let it overcome me. And it was, like I said again, it was pretty tough at times, you know, staying that way. But thank the Lord I did. And when I did, I learned some other things. And I didn't know I was learning these things, but I learned about true intimacy. The true intimacy is the innermost part, or knowing that person totally. And I like the word intimacy, because it says in, and it says TIM, and that's me, and ACY would to me meant, and Carolyn, CY would be Carolyn. And so I like that. And also I like the word intimate being the same thing. It says in Tim's mate. Okay, isn't that pretty neat? I thought it was anyhow. So, and so there is actually 3 components about true intimacy. One is, of course, the main one is the spiritual, and then the mind part of it, which involves both emotion and mental, and then the physical side. So, staying away from the physical side, not having that control the relationship, helped me to develop the spiritual side. I knew where Carolyn was coming from spiritually, and that's important about not being unequally yoked. And then also the emotional and mental side, wanting to know her, how she was thinking, and so forth and so on. And a lot of couples don't have that. They don't know that at all. They think the only thing about intimacy is the sexual or the physical side of it, and it's not. I tell you what, if you would learn all of these, you would be so much more fulfilled in all the areas of your life, and then the sexual and the physical side would be fantastic as well. And that part of intimacy being the physical side is that it's a totally abandonment of giving yourself, you know. And unfortunately, people give themselves up before they're supposed to, and so therefore they're broken and they're fractured, and they've got a piece of themselves here or a piece of themselves there, and it's hard to accumulate it back and make a whole person again. And so I'm not saying that can't happen, that you won't be able to mend those things and bring those things back in perspective, because you can. And again, we'll show you in our relationship. And I'm getting a little bit of sun on my head here, so I hope that doesn't throw us off here. But anyhow, those things are very important. You got to know the person that you love. You got to know them inside and out. Know their emotions, know how they're thinking, know how they're feeling, know about their spiritual life, and then you will know the time for the physical side of it as well. And so I think it's so important, you know, because if you did a survey, that most women, and hopefully most men would come around to this, they're more interested in the intimacy side of knowing, understanding, and developing than they are the sexual side. But see, that's why that if it's brought into to the relationship, only the physical side, then it gets all distorted, and then it's not satisfying in the sense that it's not making that person a whole person, and not bringing the realization of what true intimacy or what truly being intimate would mean, for that person. So those are very important things to learn. Now, see, we in our world and everything, we have pornography, we have soft porn on TV, and all those things is to distract you and take you away. And then what happens when those things don't fulfill? And I've seen pornography myself as a young man. I've seen books, and I was around guys that talked all the time about their girlfriends and their relationship, and I was around men that I worked with, and even at the sawmill and things like that, and that was the topic of their conversation, because they didn't know anything else. They didn't know the true intimacy. They didn't know the true fulfillment of life. And so, pornography and all that is to kill your intimacy. It's to tear you away from your true love. Because once you fantasize and have those things, and you know how it makes you feel if you see something like that, you just like, wow, what is this? What's this going on inside of me? Or whatever. And so it's not true. It's a false thing. And you'll see these love stories on their movies, and you'll see them in the movie house, and you'll see them on TV and so forth. Those are not real love stories. Those are not real people. They're characters. And the story they're telling is not the story that you need. The story that would help you in your life. That would help you have a fulfilled life and a true love life. So don't listen to those. You listen to me, okay? And I always show you what a true love story is about and how you can get there. Again, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you've done. Yeah, when I say it don't matter, it doesn't matter that it can be changed. And like I said, my friend I was with, he said, well, I guess so, Tim. If you can change one person, you've done a great thing. So that's what we want to do. If it only affects one person in these videos, that's what we want to happen. We want those things to come true for you in your life, so you can have an overcoming life and have a great life. So again, those things can change. And people say, well, again, you don't know. I know one thing. I know what God says about you, not what someone else says about you, and what the past says about you. Again, you got to get rid of the past. You got to move on from there. You got to get into the place that you need to be. You need to get to the place where you understand love and intimacy and all those things. Because remember, the world is upside down. Everything's backward. Everything works backward, forward. And see, you don't realize things until you will think it in your life it's too late. Same way with raising children. We weren't given no manual how to raise children. You had to learn as you went along. And then when you got to a certain age or got to be grandparents, you say, well, wow, if I'd have known that, I could have changed that. Well, see, you can know those things. You can know those things ahead of time. Like I said, there's no manual on marriage. I take that back. There's one manual on marriage, and that's the Bible. It talks about everything you should do and how you should approach it and so forth. And anyhow, I just want to talk to you a little bit about that. Like I said, when Carolyn's stepdad left, my mom and dad gave them a car, so they had transportation. Again, we don't hold that person accountable for what they did, because they didn't know what to do. And so those things that happen to you, those people don't know about love. They've never been loved. They don't know about good family. They don't know good morals and all that. And you say, well, you talk about like this is something that can really happen. It can really happen for you. And so I want to kind of stop the video right now. And I will continue on a little bit further. I try to make them as short as I can and try to get a lot of information into them too. And so right now I'm going to say what Carolyn always says: we are eternal, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, and God bless you. And remember, we love you, and God loves you.